All praises unto the Most High. We are giving thanks unto thee, Father, for thou art merciful and kind to thy people. We also, Father, give double honors unto our King and our Savior, Yeshua Christ, who laid down his life for his people. All praises unto the Most High. Well, Israel, I'm here again with another lesson. This is just me giving you edification, right? And showing you basically, you know, what is transpiring. No, I am not trying to put out any false information. I'm only giving you information which is already there, right? The rest is really up to you to make your own analysis or your own judgment, right? So I do have something here which is dealing with one of the medical, dosage that we're, you know, seemingly getting. So, this is not my word. This is reported on a news entity, right? So, fair use, just bringing the information to you, Israel. So, let's get into it because it's kind of interesting today. It's kind of interesting today. So, with no further ado, Israel, let's get straight into it.
But went through a frightening experience. Lauren, thank you so much for talking with us. You started feeling ill 10 days after getting the AstraZeneca dose. Can you describe the symptoms and what you noticed that made you go to the hospital?
I started with a horrendous headache. I was really breathless. I had a high temperature. So worst case scenario for me personally was that I thought I had COVID, which I'd not had before. So I went that evening to get a COVID test, which came back negative. And that evening I noticed that I had a horrendous pain in my left leg, like in my calf. The ambulance came out. They took all like my observations, so like my blood pressure, temperature, things like that. And everything was normal. They were just a bit concerned with how breathless I was and the pain in my leg. So I arrived at the A&E department and I was immediately put into like an isolation room.
So now you're in the hospital. You know you don't have COVID, but you don't know what you have. Had you made any link to the vaccine at this point?
I personally hadn't, but whilst I was in this room in the hospital, my boyfriend actually messaged me like a screenshot of a news report about the AstraZeneca, and I think it was that they were pausing it and investigating the thing about blood clots, and he said it could be this. And at this point, I hadn't even put two and two together and even thought that could be the thing, the reason.
So you were sent home, given a blood thinner and sent home. What happened next?
I got a phone call on the Wednesday morning to go back to the hospital for a CT scan on my lungs. I still wasn't feeling well. I had the CT scan and then I got put into a waiting room. And at this point, I had horrendous pain in my leg. I was probably sat there for about half an hour. And then a member of staff came over to me because I was crying again because I was in a lot of pain and I was obviously worried. I got put into like a side ward into a bed, and literally about 5 minutes later, two doctors and a consultant came over to me. And then he said, basically, you have blood clots on your lungs and we assume it's from the AstraZeneca vaccine. At this point, I broke down in tears because I was really, really worried. I'm only 32. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. And to be told that I had blood clots on my lungs, which is deadly, was scary. And I did actually ask him, am I going to die? And he said, we need to start treatment as soon as possible. After all these tests, it come back that the blood clots were in my leg. I think they presume that that's where they started, and then they travelled to my lungs. Luckily, there was no blood clots on my brain.
You're still waiting to find out if it's officially related to the vaccine, but the doctors who you have seen so far certainly suspect that.
On my discharge notes, it says vaccine-induced thrombosis and thrombocytopenia. Every single doctor that I've seen has said that they've never ever seen this kind of blood reaction and clots and things in anyone.
You don't have any previous history of blood clots?
I've never had blood clots in my life. Yeah, but now I've been told that obviously I have these blood clots. I'm now severely anemic. I'm vitamin D deficient. I had severely low blood platelets.
So let me go back to when you had the vaccine, Lauren. Did you have any hesitancy before you took the AstraZeneca vaccine?
Honestly, no. There was a time when I was in hospital. On the Thursday, I woke up with a horrendous headache. I was in so much pain. I actually I sent a text message to my family and my boyfriend saying that I don't know if I'm going to wake up because I'm in that much pain. And the nurses were trying to say to me, basically, you've had all your tests on your head. There's no blood clot on your brain. But I said, well, that doesn't mean to say that no blood clots can now, a blood clot could still travel to my brain. Yeah, that was the one point when I really honestly thought that I wasn't going to wake up.
I'm so sorry for the ordeal you went through. It just sounds gut-wrenching. Lauren, what do you tell your friends and family now who are still waiting to be vaccinated?
I honestly don't think that they should be given the AstraZeneca vaccine out due to the fact that there's even been one death of blood clots. So it just worries me that any other person that could have the vaccine could become ill, think, oh, it's COVID. They either get a test or they don't, and just maybe isolate, not get proper medical help and possibly die. Because I didn't know the symptoms that I had meant I had a blood clot at all.
You should, in theory, be getting a second AstraZeneca dose. Obviously, you're not going to do that, right?
No, my doctor advised me not to get that because I would end up in hospital again. It's not something that you ever think that is going to happen to you.
Lauren, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and I'm glad you're feeling better, and I hope it improves much more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, there you go, Israel. The things that are really coming to light, right? But it's just one of them days, right? I don't know. You tell me.
Let's take you to India now, where a severe second wave of COVID-19 is threatening to overwhelm the country's health systems, leaving people fighting for hospital beds, oxygen and medicines. Many parts of the country are under lockdown, including the nation's capital, Delhi. Nationwide, there have been 1,761 deaths in the last 24 hours. That is the highest death toll in a single day so far. On Tuesday, the health ministry reported 259,170 new infections. That is the world's highest daily rate. It has reported daily infections above the 200,000 mark for 6 days. The country now accounts for about 1 in 3 of all new cases, according to the WHO. To date, more than 127 million people have been vaccinated. We will hear from our correspondent in Delhi in a moment. But first, Yogita Lamai reports now from outside a crematorium in Uttar Pradesh. While we've been here,
Okay, Israel, sorry about that. So let's get into it.
maybe even felt it yourself. But some people who are getting the Moderna vaccine are reporting rashes.
Doctors are calling it COVID arm. Our Jamie Perez shares more about what it is and what you can do if you get it.
A new reaction from the Moderna vaccine is something doctors are hearing more and more about.
Raised, sometimes hard, sometimes hot, redness around the site that got injected.
UW Health's Dr. Bill Hartman said it's not something to be concerned about. It's more of a nuisance for those who get it.
Really more of like a sensitivity reaction. It's not something that we're concerned about in terms of persons having like an anaphylactic reaction or even a hyper acute sensitivity reaction.
The New England Journal of Medicine posted.
No, Israel, this is all the photos of people with so-called COVID arms, right? And all of these are what? Rashes. So, So let's see what it says about, these red rashes. So we're going to kind of hit the scriptures right now because this is what it's called COVID arms. You know what I mean? For what they're saying, there's nothing to be worried about, right? Nah, it's nothing to be worried about. It's just a regular, side effect reaction. Don't worry. You know what I mean? You're good. You know. Let's see what the scripture says about this. Right? I'm just, edifying and giving my opinion. It's not personal or, trying to stir up any trouble, right? So just to let you guys know over there in the tech world of, you know who you are, right? So let's get into it. Israel. Now, this is Revelation 16, 1 and 2, right? Now let's see what the scripture says about that because, it's okay, right? It's just only a little side effect. So let's see. And I heard a great voice out of the temple say to the seventh angel, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth. Verse 2. And the first went and poured out the vial upon the earth. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. Now it states here, let me click that off and let's go to this. Let's highlight this. Grievous sore, right, upon men which had the mark of the beast. Now, I'm not going to say per se that it's, it's the mark of the beast, but, we're just, trying to analyze something here, right? Now, it says right, grievous sores upon them that took the mark. What? I'm just stating what the scriptures told me, right? Now, we see here a lot of, we can, let's even get closer to it, right? Let's see, grievous sores all over the, on men. This is what the scripture is saying, right? All right. So now let's actually go to a different Bible, right? So this is the English Standard Version, right? So it's Revelation 16. We're at the same way, right? 1 and 2. So let's hear this version of this Bible, right? So it says, then I heard a loud voice from the temple telling the seven angels, go and pour out on the earth the 7 bowls of wrath of the Most High. Let's go down again. Let's read. Let's see what it says down here. Number 2, verse 2. So the first angel went and poured out his bowl on the earth, right? And harmful and painful sore. Let's look again. harmful and painful sore. Okay, let's go here again. Came up on the people who bore the mark of the beast and worship its image. Now, I'm not trying to paint any picture. I'm just giving you information, right? So the information really, truly is really up to you, right? So let's actually just go back to, COVID arm and let's finish that report, right? Let's continue.
Numerous photos of what some of the rashes look like. Doctors say that it should go away on its own after about a week, but if you want some relief now, you can apply a hot or cold compress to the affected area.
You hear one or two a day, but out of the number of reactions, or excuse me, the number of injections that are being done, it's still a very low percentage.
Department said the reaction can sometimes migrate to the other arm, but it typically only shows up at the site of injection.
Do you know why this is only happening with the Moderna vaccine and not the others?
I don't think we have a good explanation as to why it's only happening with the Moderna vaccine. And even in the people that are getting the Moderna vaccine, it's typically only being seen in people under 60 years old.
The rash usually only appears after the first dose of the Moderna vaccine. Hartman said this should not stop people from getting the vaccine or their second dose of Moderna. For News.
Right. Okay. Now, let's see, right? So basically, it's stating that it's okay. You can, go ahead and get the auto, dosage. It's cool. All right. So we basically highlighted that the grievous sore upon men which had what? Taken that mark, right? All right, cool. Let's say hypothetically that's not the case. Let's just say it's just one of them things. Just one of them things. Don't take it personal, right? No. All right, so let's actually now go back to the scriptures. So I'm actually not going to go to, right? Going to go to Proverbs, right? So let me jump right up to the Proverbs, right? And I'm going to go to, let's say, 16. Yeah. Right? We go to 16, right? All right. So let's see again what the Most High is talking about, right? All right. Now, let's read verse 4 here. And it says, all right, the Most High had made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Israel comes right back to the scriptures. This book basically is, whether you want to believe it or not, it's really unreeling, all the spectacles of this life, and it's really up to you. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. Nah, we wouldn't do that. Nah. So let's continue. I'm going to jump. Let me read this one and then I'm going to jump down, right? And this is verse 5, right? And it states right here, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Most High. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Now you're going to say to yourself, what that means? Hand in hand. While you're hand in hand, you're great. You're cool, right? All right, let's continue. All right. Now, let's read 6. We're just going to nicely build into it, right? Not going to stay too long. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Most High, men depart from evil. Now, I think in this time what we're living in, I don't think a lot of us have the fear of the Most High in us, because, everything is jolly, everything is great right now, what I mean? Everybody is getting their job, everybody is just, hunky-dory, waiting for everything to come back to normal. It's going to happen, right? Yeah. All right, let's continue. Now, it says here, 8th, we're going to jump one more down, and it says, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. Now, look at this, which I know tends to be very true, right? I mean, a lot of people can verify this. I don't have to be, trying to push anything on anyone, right? We have experienced. Now, look at this. A man's heart deceiveth his way, but the Most High direct his path, right? So we know that sometimes we can be deceived by our own ways, thinking that, yeah, we're doing the right thing, but sometimes not necessarily the case. But let's see what the Most High is saying in verse 13, right? And it states right here, righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him that speak right. Okay? So righteous lips are the delights of kings. So if you're speaking righteousness, or you're speaking things which what says right here, right, people are going to love you. But I don't know, because you tend to speak right now, and everything is, being locked down, you're being censored, all kind of something. I don't know, but let's continue. Let's hear what the kings have to say now, right? Let's jump down to where we at. All right, I'm gonna go down to where we at? All right, let's actually go to, because I wanted to bring something out where it speaks about kings, right? All right, here we go. Right, I kind of jumped a bit too far, but here we go. And this one is verse 10, and it reads, a divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. Right? So you're saying to yourself, oh man, there's no way that a divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. But I mean, if you think about it, a lot of these so-called leaders now are, not being so divine, per se. Because if you think about it, there is a lot of things that's taking place right now, which, I did, some lessons on as well, dealing with even this so-called war, which is brewing at the moment, right? And everything is slowly but surely coming into fruition, right? So the moral of all of this, Israel, is you make the choice that you make, and you must live with that choice that you make, whether it's bad or good, right? So really comes down to your choice, right? So it's really not just up to you, really, but you should really gauge everything that you do by what the Most High is telling you. Because you should say to yourself, you know what? Man can deceive me, but the Most High won't deceive me. So if I'm going to go with any advice, really and truly, I'm going to go with the Most High's advice, over any other advice than anybody else, right? So with that, I'm going to say, Israel, it's been a pleasure. All praises unto the Most High, and I pray that the Most High keeps you in good health and good standing. And may the Most High bless you in everything that you do. All praises unto thee, for thou art merciful and kind to thy people. All praises to thee, Father.